The Road to the City. Chapter 1. A Dream Beyond the Fields. The Village Life. Daniel woke up before the sun rose, the familiar scent of damp soil filling his small, mud-walled room. Outside, the roosters had already started crowing, their calls echoing across the vast farmland that surrounded his home. He lay still for a moment, staring up at the wooden beams above him, lost in thought. Today was another day of hard work on the farm, but in his heart he longed for something more. His parents, hard-working farmers, had always told him that the land was their life. It had provided for their family for generations, feeding them, clothing them, and keeping a roof over their heads. But Daniel knew that the land alone could not give him the future he dreamed of. He wanted to go to school in the city, to learn, to grow, and to build a life beyond the endless fields of maize and cassava. The problem was money. His family barely had enough to buy necessities, let alone pay for an expensive education. The little money they made from selling crops went toward food, seeds, and farming tools. His parents had never set foot in a classroom, and neither had many in the village. The idea of education was almost a luxury, one that only a few lucky children could afford. Daniel sat up, his feet touching the cool earthen floor. He sighed, rubbing his calloused hands together. His body ached from the previous day's work, ploughing, weeding, carrying heavy baskets of produce, but he refused to let exhaustion crush his dreams. He had to find a way. A quiet determination. As he stepped outside, the morning air was fresh, carrying the scent of wet grass and smoke from distant cooking fires. His mother, a petite but strong woman, was already up, stirring a pot of porridge over an open flame. His father was in the barn, preparing the tools for another long day in the fields. "Morning, Mama," Daniel greeted, taking a wooden cup of porridge from her. "Morning, my son. Did you sleep well?" she asked, her tired eyes filled with warmth. "I did," he lied. In truth, his mind had been restless all night, thinking of ways to earn money for school. His father joined them, wiping sweat from his brow, even though the sun had barely risen. "Daniel, after breakfast, go and help your mother at the market. We need to sell as much as we can today." "Yes, Baba," Daniel said, though his mind was elsewhere. He had already lost count of how many times he had stood behind a wooden stall, selling tomatoes, yams, and beans to the villagers. Every coin earned was precious, but no matter how much they sold, it was never enough to make his dream a reality. As he ate, he thought about the stories he had heard of the city. Tall buildings, paved roads, bright lights, and schools where students learned about science, history, and literature. He wanted to be part of that world. He wanted to sit in a classroom, hold a textbook, and have a teacher call his name, not just be another boy working the land like generations before him. A ray of hope. Later that day, as he helped his mother at the market, he overheard a conversation between two men. "Did you hear about the scholarship exam?" one of them said. "It's for students who can't afford school fees. The winners get a full scholarship to study in the city." Daniel's heart pounded. A scholarship? That could be his way out. He quickly turned to his mother. "Mama, did you hear that? A scholarship exam." His mother gave him a sad smile. "Daniel, many children will apply. It is not easy. But I have to try," he said, gripping a bunch of bananas so tightly that his fingers turned white. His mother sighed, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "We will talk to your father tonight." That evening, Daniel sat with his parents under the dim glow of a kerosene lamp. His father, weary from the day's labor, listened quietly as Daniel explained the scholarship. "Baba, if I pass, I can study in the city without worrying about fees," Daniel pleaded. His father sighed deeply, looking down at his rough, work-worn hands. "My son, I want the best for you, but how will you get to the city for the exam? We have no money for travel or food." Daniel's heart sank. His father was right. Even if the scholarship covered school fees, getting to the city was another battle. But he refused to give up. "I will find a way, Baba. I promise." His father looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "If you are determined, then may God guide your path." And with that, Daniel knew his journey was only beginning.